Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Bluez let this last. I don't know if the earth is big.
That was Watson with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Bluez is in the building. Welcome to Beyond the Brand. And our guest today is Sierra Barbara Monk. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Dustin, he's a musician himself. So he's been a fan of your family and the legacy of your family for, what was that? Since birth, since you were on the bottles?
Pretty much. And then got reintroduced when I was legally able to drink, and found the ale Brother Thelonious.
Oh yes, yep.
So, and I've had the pleasure and honor of performing on the same stage as Duran, who is amazing. His vocal capability is absolutely incredible. And then it just seems I have been blessed by running into your family on so many different levels. And that's why I'm so excited. You know, one of the things that got me through the pandemic was listening to the book on your grandfather. And really, it really made some of the stuff that was happening in the events today resound so much heavier, because in that book, they're talking about his growing up and that incredible story. And to see how much things have changed yet still remain the same was breathtaking and heartbreaking all in the same moment. So any opportunity I have to help promote your family, I'm going to, because your family has already given me so much that anything I can do to help give back. I mean, I'm here. What do you need?
Oh, that means a lot. That's really meaningful, Dustin. Thank you for saying that. What I want to know first, before we like maybe just like as an icebreaker, what's your favorite Monk song? Like My Grandfather.
Right. It depends, because it's actually, I prefer the solo piano albums that were released, just because I do feel there's a little bit more of an intimacy there, and the recording tech actually was able to crank up so much you can hear the hammering of the keys, which adds this incredible percussiveness to it. Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot.
No, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
My favorite record is the one with the red wagon, and I'm totally blanking, but that is my favorite record from start to finish. Just because I feel it is it's an incredible journey that is going on with these themes that arc, and if you're really paying attention, in almost every track there's like a slight second of callback. And being someone who has dealt with improvisational comedy and all those different things, it's when you get to watch like a callback later on when you don't even expect it. And Preston and I are also like huge fans of professional wrestling.
Cool. That's cool.
You have these type of callbacks in the matches as well. Like if there's a table match, you'll see someone put out a table in the far corner, and then everyone forgets about it. And then about halfway through, maybe 15 minutes into the match, somebody randomly goes through that table. And those are those incredible moments. And I find so much of that in your grandfather's playing, and in the style itself, is these just incredible throwbacks. And even when he was covering other people's work, you know, it was their work, but it was him there. It was his translation, his interpretation. And being a musician, it's so interesting when you can do that, because I can pour my heart into my own material, because I know that, I feel that, I live that. But trying to pour my heart into someone else's material is very, very difficult for me. So to be able to hear how he's able to maintain, or he was able to maintain, his own personality and brought his story into other people's work, I mean, absolutely mind blowing.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, Thelonious Monk absolutely had a unique improvisational style. So whether he was performing some of his original compositions or that of others, like you said, he always had his uniquely identifiable sound. And it's good that you brought up the percussive elements because he did incorporate a lot of that into just how he would touch the keys. It was a lot of percussive elements. So absolutely. What about you, Preston? What's your favorite Monk song?
I don't have a favorite Thelonious Monk song. I want to know just more about the family. Dustin has been a fan for years and
Okay.
wanted to get you on the program. Honestly, I just want to tell you the truth. But
Okay, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate the truth.
But what I do admire about you, just by the research I've done on you and your family, as you've been very protective of the legacy of what your family brings throughout this whole musical and the contributions they brought to the culture. So you've been definitely very protective about that. You and your brother have been very on it. And I found out recently that sparked my interest. You have a wine licensing deal. Can you just please tell me about that before I get
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I just saw what you guys put on the screen. Cool. Yeah, we have a wine. We have a Cabernet Sauvignon with a vineyard called Banville.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it performs really well. It's like really tasty. I wish I could flip my camera and show you because I have like a couple bottles like literally right here in my apartment. But yeah, it's so basically I can just give you like a 2-second history on how we ended up partnering with this Italian vineyard.
Yeah.
So the grandchildren apparently do like run the digital aspect of their family's company, similar to like what we do, Thelonious and I.
Yeah.
So the grandson just found an image of my grandpa and thought it would be like cool just to put that image on the bottle of it's called Legit, but on the bottle of the Cabernet, he just thought like it's a cool picture, but like he didn't really know much about jazz, certainly not much about Thelonious Monk. But after like doing some research, he realized who the artist was behind the image.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that unique image of Thelonious Monk with the keys reflected in his glasses. It's kind of like an iconic image. So yeah, most people just look at that photo without even realizing like who the person is behind it. And that's kind of what the grandson did. So that brought him into my world through licensing the image. And yeah, so that's how we like kind of got together with Banville Talani Wine. So
And I figure
yeah,
that's
it's
the
pretty
perfect
cool.
marriage, jazz and wine. So
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's a really good partnership. And the wine world, I'm learning, is very particular as it is in the music industry. So it makes sense. Like it's curated and very intentional in terms of how they craft the wine. So
well, one of the things that I really loved about that story in particular is what you said, that the grandchildren of this vineyard were in charge of the social media aspect of it. And that's one of the reasons why we really wanted you to come on Behind the Brand, is to talk about that as we're moving forward, especially in this time of quarantines and COVID and all those things. We're not going to get on the negative aspect there, but business has changed. We have evolved, and we were already evolving into more of a social media type of business. But what is it like to run a company through social media?
It's interesting. It's not easy because when you want to remove yourself from social media, you can't, since this is like what you do, this is your career.
Right.
So it's I just being honest, it's hard to find the balance. It's definitely hard to find like a balance between like grounding and technology. It's not easy. But I will say, I think that social media gives anyone the opportunity to start and grow a business. So it's beneficial in that aspect that, there's a world of possibility where, anyone can really start a business and become an entrepreneur with a built-in fan base and a built-in audience through their social media. So that's something that I'm certainly grateful for. And, I think that's really cool how you have like the world at your fingertips. So in terms of growing your audience and just cultivating a fan base, I think running a company via social media is definitely lucrative in that aspect.
And that's pretty much what values of that great work ethic that you got from your family, just spanning all the way back to your grandfather. Now, please just tell me about your childhood, because that had to be just one of a kind and just very memorable. Tell me about the famous musicians you met, because tell me about just the whole experience growing up and just finding why that's your passion. Please.
Oh yeah, first of all, my parents really provided an incredible childhood.
Yeah.
It certainly was remarkable. But it was just so normal, it was just like very normal. I really didn't understand like what my childhood, like the significance really of like some of the role models that my parents kind of cultivated, the environments that my parents kind of cultivated for me. I didn't understand like the magnitude of that obviously until, I grew up. So it was just super normal. Like I just was like, oh, music was just like water and air and food. It was so normal. It was just yeah. I mean, that's just how I can describe it. It really while it was probably super maybe odd to some, for us it was just such a normal thing. But we did absolutely meet like tons of really cool musicians for sure.
I heard stories about Miles Davis. I heard stories even about Billy Preston, just like so many just iconic arts, just throughout the whole jazz culture.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. But the thing is though, like I was born in 1986 and my grandfather died in 1982, so I didn't even get like a chance to meet him. So I did unfortunately miss out on like some of like the really cool things like you're talking about. But my dad, oh my gosh, like his childhood was probably like crazy, like with some of the stuff he saw that was probably like so regular to him. I'm sure that was crazy.
But I'm not going to dilute anything that you brought to the table. But
I appreciate it.
Please tell me about your passion for writing, because I believe you have a couple books available. Please tell the audience.
Oh yeah, you know what? I like that you said that. It's a new year, and I definitely need to push my pen.
Absolutely.
But I don't have any books yet on the market. I do have like good recommendations. Just stuff that like are writers and artists who have worked with the family for sure. Like I for sure can recommend some good monk stuff. But I do write though. So on our website we do have like a blog, and we do have a section, kind of like an editorial section. So yes, I absolutely do love to write. It's I'm not a musician, so I don't necessarily write about, like I just write about the music from the perspective of a consumer and someone who just has a deep appreciation for music in general, not just jazz. But yeah, we have some really cool writers for sure on our site, and they certainly inspire me. But I'm gonna get there. Like, check me in 10 years, I'll have a book out there.
You'll have two in 10 years. No, but what's really cool, and I really want the listener to understand and absorb kind of what you were saying before, as people on the outside looking in, we're going to say, oh, it had to be crazy and chaotic. And, oh, there must have been circuses in the living room every other day. But the reality is no matter what, no matter how incredible the musician people are, no matter how incredible the actor people are, they're still people. And it's amazing that even being as, we'll say groundbreaking, because I mean your grandfather was groundbreaking, but even your father is a phenomenal studio musician. I mean he's on so many different hit records and then looped into other hit records. I don't want to downplay him either. Yeah, I'm crazy, so
I appreciate you saying that. It's true. That's all facts.
Yeah, I read liner notes. Like I used to love have the CDs that fold out ridiculous. That was a good day for me. But
I hope that comes back, honestly. I mean, I don't know. But that's a totally different conversation. I agree with you. I like liner notes also.
So,
but as far as my dad, I can speak to what you just said in that, like almost many of the rehearsals were done like in our homes. You know, so like a lot of my father is a band leader. So a lot of his band practices would be like held, like you said, in the living room. And it was incredible. I mean, we had concerts like every day. So, and these were really super, super talented musicians, you know, like this isn't just like some like, and no, actually I won't even say that because all music is wonderful. But yeah, these were expert musicians. So yeah, it was really cool for sure. You know, you really don't appreciate things until you grow up and you miss it for sure.
But we do appreciate you, Sierra Monk, on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, behind the brand, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Bluez is in the building. Sierra, tell me about Kids React to Monk. Tell me about that program, how it got started, and how you inspired to help out the youth when it comes up, especially when it comes up to the culture. Please explain.
Yes. Kids React is some of my favorite stuff. So we produced a series where we expose kids from our local communities, like meaning like areas where we grew up. I'm from like northern New Jersey. So our local schools that I have relationships with, we like to go in and expose them to Thelonious Monk's music for the first time and kind of capture their reaction and then maybe like unpack some of the things that they say and like talk to them a little bit about jazz and music. And it's really, really fun. So the smaller kids, like the youngest, they always bring in like that cute factor. They're so adorable and you can just like watch their minds like light up with like what they're hearing, the sensory experiences. But the older kids really provide like meaningful insight and just they're phenomenal and very intellectually I guess the word I'm looking for is that like rich with just how they hear and see things in terms of the music. It's just incredible. Like they'll tell, like we'll play a Monk song for them, for example, like we'll play around midnight and they'll tell us where it takes them, you know, like what regionally where it takes them. And I think that's pretty cool. So I love doing Kids React and I can't wait to be able to get back to doing that. You know, the pandemic has definitely put the brakes on a lot of that kind of stuff. So I'm hopeful that we'll have a chance to come back to do that again.
Now, unfortunately, we do not know when this pandemic is over, but is there any ways, any plans for that program to readjust via Zoom or via other ways of technology to make it happen, to keep it going and keep enriching these minds, these young minds?
I would love to. I mean, we did like a play along where I had a bunch of musicians. It was almost like we did like they all played sections of a Thelonious Monk song. And we kind of like spliced it together to make like a cohesive piece of content. So that I'm just thinking of ways like, yeah, you know, you guys are inspiring me during this call actually right now, thinking of ways how I can incorporate that with the kids for sure. So I would love to figure out how to do that. And I'm sure my cousin Marcella can definitely help me with that for sure. So
Marcella's awesome.
She
Marcella's
really
definitely
is.
a great mind.
Yes.
She's definitely for the kids and for enriching people, and I definitely see how that goes throughout your family. Dustin, I believe
Yes.
when we had Marcella, I think around last year, she was talking
Mm-hmm.
about how kids make you a better person, how enriching
Mm-hmm.
them, enlightening their lives, make you so much a better human being. And I love the fact, Sierra, how you differentiate the two from younger, smaller kids from the older kids. You see different types of point of view because I imagine with the young kids, you get like more excitement and more stuff. They're
Mhm.
interested to play, what they have to do. Older kids, they take their time with it. They're a little bit more detailed of how they want everything to be done when it comes to music class because it can really, I honestly think, in my opinion, and you two can correct me if I'm wrong, Sierra, you've been around music all your life. Dustin, you are actually a musician. I believe music is I honestly believe music is the best mathematics. It can definitely help you out. It can definitely be the best therapy. It can definitely help you out with your whole entire life. And I really feel you can definitely do that with your writing and your promotion, just with the whole Instagram and the Thelonious Monk. I see you doing the posts all the time for your website and the Instagram and the Twitter, which has been such amazing. But
Oh,
the
thank you.
very welcome. Absolutely most welcome. The whole music scape has just changed. I mean, jazz
Yeah.
back in the day, it was like it was the top. It was the epidome. It was everything. Jazz was
Mhm.
everything when it was first. But now jazz and hip hop, they kind of switch. You see hip hop everywhere now, and jazz is still there. Don't get me wrong. Jazz will always be here. But do you feel a lot of millennials, you and my, our generation, forgotten the whole jazz history? Do you think it should be,
That's
back
such a good question. That is such a good
prominent?
question. And I have
Yeah.
this discussion like often with all
Hmm.
types of people. Because I'm a millennial, I'm part of the
Yeah,
older set of millennials.
absolutely.
So this is a very nuanced question. I will tell you, it's difficult to answer.
Hmm.
So just to start from the beginning with what you said, I definitely agree that the connotations around jazz back in the day, it
Hmm.
almost seemed like okay, once you made it, you start listening to jazz, like it was a level of
Mm-hmm.
sophistication that
Hmm.
went hand in hand with the music. And then for some reason, somehow, it's difficult to pinpoint exactly why the whys and hows it happened, but it does seem like jazz is slowly being erased.
Mm.
um but it's really interesting because like jazz music is the foundation of a lot of these like subsets of music, so you see that you
Mm-hmm.
hear and you see the elements. And some of speaking on hip hop, I find
Hmm.
that like I'm officially that person now that I'm turning 35. I'm officially that person that like hates all the music out now. Like I'm
Really?
officially that person. I never thought I'd be here. I really
Wow.
never thought I'd be here. I thought that I'd always be here for like the hip hop movement, like
Uh,
forever, right? But
yeah,
and I'm not really trying to zero in and like throw all the daggers at hip hop right now.
of
I'm
course,
really
of
not
course.
trying to do that because I do have a deep love for hip hop music,
Yeah.
but some of my favorite hip hop really has many jazz elements. Like some of my favorite hip hop today. Like I love, like Spillage Village. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
or even just like in terms of like R&B, someone like Masego. I
Right.
just feel like
Mm-hmm.
this is very jazzy and this is why I like it. Um so it's very interesting though because there are so many incredibly talented jazz artists that have managed to kind of like transcend and tap into the younger demographic and younger fan base. There are quite a few artists that people recognize and know, but if you ask them who Thelonious Monk is, if you ask them
Yeah.
who Ella Fitzgerald is,
Mm-hmm.
and these are like the greats, they don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Like my generation does not know. They're
Yeah.
clueless. They
Very
have no
scarce.
clue. So in terms of, because I want to think of like how can we be proactive, because it's one thing to just like sit and I can sit here and complain about how it feels like my generation has forgotten jazz, but in terms of bridging the gap, I do think there seems to be like effort in that these days.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I like just in mainstream and popular culture, I do
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of jazz references coming back. And I really do believe that, it's everything, like history is cyclical. Oops,
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
That's okay.
Uh-oh. We might have lost her for a second. Well, I'm actually going to chime in while hopefully she jumps back on. But for me, I cannot see like I see like the old jazz and stuff in the artists like Anderson .Paak, even like from the mainstream point of view, like Chance the Rapper. But even go even a little bit further back, and you have Outkast. I mean, a lot of what, and to the fact that they even did a movie called Idlewild, which has jazz themes, which was about, being jazz players, in the Harlem area in the 1920s and those different things there. So and honestly, I think if you're really, really looking at it musically, hip hop and jazz, it's just like another part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of incredible elements. You have the artists that can freestyle, that can just pick up anything, and those are the phenomenal jazz musicians as well. And even for other people who say love rock and roll, to really understand how amazing jazz is, the guitarist Eric Clapton, who's considered one of the greatest guitar players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the late 80s, early 90s, he toured with a jazz band. But he toured under a pseudonym because he knew he wasn't good enough of a player to play jazz, and he didn't want to devalue his Eric Clapton brand. And that's who's considered one of the greatest guitar players of all time. And then even recently, you have Common just released a brand new record, which is a phenomenal record. He's got a full live band. And you have Isaiah Sharkey playing guitar on that. And he's a phenomenal jazz guitarist. So there are these incredible moments throughout. And I think that speaks volumes of what jazz is, because even sitting down for an incredible jazz piece, there are these moments of brilliance. And your grandfather had so many of them, and he strung so many of them together. And for a lot of people, when you hear it for the first time, you don't understand that it's a moment of brilliance because it doesn't make sense to you. And it tricks your brain, and it's beautiful. There's whole studies upon classical music and the development of the brain. And people chose classical music to do that because it was all written in a major key, so the frequencies moved higher. But you really push, and I love how much your family is giving back to the kids and showing jazz doing the same thing. Being able to stimulate the brain and stimulate brain growth through these incredible frequencies, and these incredible sounds. Oh boy, I'm here. Crazy.
It's been a game of back and forth right now. So much intelligence in this show. It's been really
like, too smart,
right
too
now.
Smart. Cut it off.
But I think the moral of this whole story, how all three of us are putting together, is we just need to teach. That's just our goal. Teach. The more
Absolutely
grow, and the more the youth will definitely teach future youth about this great jazz music that we have. Easy, you mentioned great artists like Eric Clapton. Let's talk about some recent artists like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, who still put a little jazz in their music and proudly acknowledge the artists that they sampled and the artists that they work with in every single day. And we just have to do that through these programs. I mean, Easy, you teach it out through your three boys. You make sure your three boys know musicians behind all this music, and that's very important. And that's definitely what the Monk has been doing through generations. Yes, Easy Blues.
Uncle Preston.
Yes.
My three children.
Yes.
Okay.
I said three boys.
My three children.
Your three children. I'm sorry.
I have twin boys, and I have my oldest is non-binary.
My apologies.
I know. We're working on it.
I'm sorry.
This is the new reality, and we want to make sure that we're respectful to the new reality.
Of course. But we'll talk about that after the program. We got Sierra Monk here with us. Sierra, what behind the brand, WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. I just want to know, what's the best advice you've gotten that that has taken you this far? What is the best knowledge that still sticks with you to this day?
The best knowledge
Best
that I've received
Yes.
that still sticks with me today. I would say to be unique. For sure. It's definitely something that my father has always instilled in us. Just the concept of being yourself and not being a follower, and not trying to conform. And he just always, you know, he just always advocated for authenticity. And I know for a fact that that came from his father.
Definitely. Uniqueness is definitely what happens with your family. You guys definitely know how to stay outside the box. But what really caught my attention is the great stuff that you've done with this website. I mean, you guys are definitely really nice layout when it comes to all the playlists and the albums throughout your whole family and the stuff that you bring. Please tell just future entrepreneurs how important it is just for detailed websites and merchandise and just getting that out there, and definitely how is also important for your brand. I know I'm saying everything in the one sentence. I just want to get everything out correct.
No, I appreciate the question. Yeah. I think that's a great question. I will start by saying that like my team is just amazing.
Beautiful.
I'm really blessed to be able to work with, you know, family, but also those that I just trust. And so the person who designed our website, this is someone, you know, who I went to high school with. So I think that just to start, before you even like worry about what you're trying to sell or what your product is going to be, or, you know, what you want to give to the world, I think it's important to just start with the foundation, and you don't be afraid to ask for help, and that, you know, you need a team. It's impossible to just do everything by yourself, no matter how much you think you can, especially if you're someone like me who likes to dot all the I's and cross all the T's and can kind of be a little bit of a perfectionist. You just have to surround yourself with strong, trustworthy people who have your best interest at heart, for sure. But starting there, I think they'll help you to realize that, you know, it's like really important that your website looks good, and that you know, you're organized, and that the aesthetic is beneficial to whatever, like I said, whatever product you're trying to sell. So I think it's really all about the team, because they will always have your best interest, and they'll be able to guide you when you're maybe not sure of that question.
Was it hard picking that team?
It actually happened organically, honestly.
Okay, that's even better.
Yeah, it happens organically, and just really anyone who we like partner or work with, it tends to kind of happen organically. For whatever organically means in 2021, because I feel like people like overuse that. They're like, oh, it happened organically, when it's like, no, it was very strategic, but you know what I mean.
Right. Well, it's so interesting because, you know, you stated before that you're not a musician. You are a creative, but you're not a musician. Right. Everything you just said translates perfectly to music. It is about the team behind you. You can be a phenomenal musician, but if you're by yourself, you know, if you don't have the right marketing team, if you don't have, you know, the right players around you, you know, you're just a really good musician that no one's ever heard. And that happens 1.5 million times. And that's why it is so important. That team is so important. And again, that translates amazingly through jazz, because yes, listening to one jazz soloist is incredible. But when you listen to people and they start to like actual duel with solos, and this person takes this one's note and goes in a whole nother direction, and then another person, and then 14 minutes into the song, they go back to the first minute of the song, you know.
Well, I think I think, sorry, not to just
No, no,
cut you
no,
off, but
definitely.
just to quickly interject before you finish your point, I do
Yeah.
think that that's also part of the reason why my grandfather's bands, like, or whoever he just worked with, they were so fire, because he would let them shine. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was no ego involved with like him being the pianist and this being his band. There was no ego. He always wanted and encouraged his band members and musicians that he collaborated with to play their best and to do their best and to just seriously like go crazy. Like, don't come unless you're gonna outdo me, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like he encouraged them to do that in every performance.
And it's so incredible. And and actually, in reading some of the books and knowing the history, understanding that he would have musicians over just to learn from him, sitting in a 1-bedroom apartment, with a big piano in the living room, and they would just be there all the time, and they'd be riffing off of each other. And you start to grow that way. You start to really push those
Absolutely.
boundaries,
I
and
always
when you
think, like, oh my gosh, like, can you imagine what it would have been like when Monk like would like call Coltrane and be like, come over here for a couple hours, let's like hang out. It must have been
right,
just like unimaginable. So yeah, I agree.
definitely.
Sierra
That's
agrees on
awesome.
WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, behind the brand, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made Easy Blues is in the building. Sierra, do you believe that there are not enough Black female entrepreneurs when it comes to what you do?
When it comes to what I do,
Yes, social
like
media.
sell, like being like an online retailer, like
Mm-hmm.
being someone
Yes,
who
yes,
creates
yes,
merchandise and like
Mm-hmm.
runs a website online.
yes.
No, actually, I'm going to push back on that, because in
Okay.
2021, I will say that the millennials, Black millennial women,
Hmm.
in my demographic,
Right.
are totally out here selling, buying, and just
Awesome.
dominating the online spaces, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. I mean, like, just coming from the perspective of a consumer, forget what I do for a living. Like, I've supported and I just know of so many Black woman owned businesses that are just seriously, like I said, killing the merchandising game and just the online spaces, for sure. So I don't think so. I think this is an incredible time for being a Black merchant. Hmm.
What are some honorable mentions that you can give us out of these names that are killing it right now in 2021?
Honorable
Yes.
mentions. Okay. As in terms of women, Black
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
women.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a handbag right behind me, but I want to go grab it. But there's a retailer called Cease. It's CISE
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
.store, and they create incredible accessories. So maybe if like we're gonna do like a post on social, I can like include some information or something like that,
Yeah,
in terms of like the
definitely.
brands that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But absolutely, they are incredible for like accessories. And then I don't know if people are into like candles and maybe like apothecary items, but we have not we as in me, but
Mm-hmm.
I support a online brand called Bare Truth Skincare.
Okay.
Okay.
And so she's a Black woman who sells tons of candles and crystals and all kinds of cool metaphysical tools. So
Nice.
those are just two that like I literally have in my
Mm-hmm.
like in my eye shot. You know what I mean? Like I can see their stuff right now. So
That's awesome.
yeah. Hmm.
Well, see, and that's why I love why Preston asked the question, is because for a lot of people, we don't know that. And that's why
Hmm.
it's, this show is so important, where we can really open up that door and, let people know, because, the more informed we are, as we've spoken, how important education is, and proper education. And I don't mean that in a school or anything like that. I mean like actual things you need to be able to survive in the world. You know, we need to know that it is, with all the negative that buzzes around us, you know, it's really, really important to take this moment and shine those lights, you know, and, you know, what you do shines that light. You know, you are providing, you know, through the retail aspect of it, but you're providing an escape. You were providing, you know, that good moment. I mean, the stuff that you mentioned about on the site about the Palo Alto sessions, which is a phenomenal live record. Go right
thank
now.
you.
Thelonious Monk, Palo Alto. Make sure you check it out. Such a great record. It actually is referenced in the book. You know, about him going
concert,
there. And the concert is referenced in the book. So now you really get to be a part of history. But it was in that information and you guys sharing that information that people were able to, you know, get this record. And even though there was a stutter step because licensing and rights and all that kind of stuff, the record still came out and it's still absolutely amazing. So
thank you. I'm so happy Palo is out for sure.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for you know, sharing the story of the accessory company and the other woman, because people need to hear these things. You know,
it's yeah, I think it's important.
Sierra, since we got about like at least 9 minutes left of the program,
okay,
our audience, what is next for the Monk family legacy? What can we expect in 2021 from the family?
In 2021, well, so of course we have more music. Like we got more Monk songs coming out, but I don't know when, you know, but there's always more music. Like there will always be more music. I want the Monk fans to know that there will always be more music tucked in my pocket, always. So for sure, we can start with more music, but outside of that, you know, again, like I said, I'm really hoping that I can connect back with the kids and the youth, some of the youth stuff that we do, because, you know, that's just definitely been a void that I've been missing. So I'm definitely ready to refocus on education and specifically outside of the stuff that you know, we are doing in connection with my cousin Marcella in Connecticut. We're definitely trying to maybe start the origin story, if that makes any sense. We're trying to get back to Rocky Mount, North Carolina, where Thelonious Monk was born. And I would really like to connect with the community and just see how we can bring jazz to the people there, for sure. I mean, like, not bring jazz. I mean, jazz is everywhere, but you know what I mean? I just want to, I want to connect with the people at Rocky Mount for sure, because they're super loyal, super awesome folks there who like love Thelonious Monk. So I feel like it's only right for me and Thelonious to go out there and, you know, connect for sure. But we're just still really encouraging and like watching some of the projects and products that we currently have, like watching them perform again. You brought up the wine, it's still here, it's still doing well, so I'm excited to see what's next for Legit. And you know, people just always want to act like they have like so much going on, but it's kind of okay to just be in the moment and just be grateful to be surviving, you know, this situation that's kind of shaking up the entire music industry. You know what I mean? So I'm excited and eager kind of to see what 2021 brings for me, because I don't really know fully yet. For sure.
It's interesting. I'm sorry.
No, it definitely is massively interesting, and you know, with so many different things, like maybe I'm just going to throw some things out there because you know, it's the way it goes. But maybe taking it to like YouTube and kind of like offering like that interplay, which you can do, and you know, kind of designing more.
We do. Like, we actually, you know what? You're right. We have a YouTube channel, and it does well. It's like we've got a good amount of subscribers. You know, we got thousands of subscribers, and I think they're awesome. Like it's super dope because I need to definitely focus more on the YouTube. We are not as active as I'd like to be necessarily on YouTube, but I agree, you know, we do like to put like some performances and monk footage and just some of like the newer stuff we do. We definitely like to put that on YouTube. But, you know, as you know, like the live entertainment industry has changed.
Yeah.
Like I held my last
Yeah.
event in September. Was it
Mm.
September or October? I think it may have been September, but that was the last thing I was able to do. So it's hard,
Uh,
but we got to be creative, right?
Definitely,
hmm
man. It's
Yeah.
time of adjusting. It really is the
hmm
time of adjusting. But since you mentioned the YouTube channel, there's a couple things that I peeked in while you know
Hmm.
the whole conversation was taking place between the three of us. I
Hmm.
love the Monk one-on-one, the reactions and the criticisms of the kids
Oh yeah, thank
of the
you.
Lonely Monk music. That is very
Thank you.
inspirational to see how the kids feel, just personally.
hmm
And I like
Hmm.
the fact how you still want to bring how you still want to give that rich experience of what your family brought to the table when it comes to jazz. When I see all the live performances right there for the YouTube channel, it's very,
Thank
very,
you.
very, very enriching to see. It's very, very great to see. I just want to thank you on that,
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Just really
man.
quickly, just
hmm
so my grandfather's daughter,
Mhm.
hmm
for whom I'm named after, her name was Boo Boo Barbara Monk. She passed away in her 20s, unfortunately. She died very young.
Oh man.
Um, but her mission before her death was definitely to bring like jazz education to the kids.
mm
So if it weren't for her, we wouldn't have like Thelonious Monk Circle, which is the street sign in New York, in Manhattan,
Right.
that's named after my grandfather. If it weren't for my aunt Boo Boo, we wouldn't have that. You know, if it weren't for
hmm
my aunt Boo Boo, there would not have been a Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz.
Right.
So uh, she is the only reason why like music education is so important to us. So I just wanted
Right.
to just give her a shout out for
Oh,
that.
that's
A
awesome.
street name after her.
After
Well,
Thelonious.
No, no, no. I'm sorry.
after my
Sorry, I got a little
grandfather. Yeah,
caught
it's
up.
called. No worries, it's
I got a little
Thelonious Monk
caught up.
Circle. Yes, in Manhattan.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I've been there.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm that guy.
Yeah, it's really cool. Thank you for going. That's awesome to know that you've been there. She got that erected, so it was her who did
hmm
that. You know. Hmm.
Will we see a new wine from the Monk family anytime soon? Is that happening?
Well, we see a new one, right? Like it needs a pairing because we've got the
hmm
cab, so I feel like we need something light now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you need a
Maybe a white
Pinot
wine,
Noir.
white wine coming out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A white wine.
maybe a
We'll
Pinot Grigio,
see.
something.
Yeah.
We shall
Pinot
see,
Grigio.
Preston.
Maybe a spritzer. You know, a
Maybe a
Thelonious spritzer.
spritzer. I like
Yeah.
seltzer, so
There you go. There you
There you
go.
go.
we'll have to see.
There you go. This
With
is
like weird, with like odd flavor combinations that are, doesn't necessarily make sense until you taste it and you're like, yo, this makes total sense. Just saying,
Hmm.
you can totally have that idea.
I can tell you that we are for sure working on a cannabis product. So that's something to look forward to in 2021.
all right. Let's just leave it at there.
We'll leave it
Let's
there.
see what happens. Let's just leave it there. I'm with that. I'm definitely with it. Yeah, we have 2 minutes left of the program. I just want you to this the show. The rest of the minutes gonna be up to you. Please give out shout outs where to find your products, the Instagram, the website. Please promote yourself. This time is yours. Go right ahead.
Oh, thank you,
Very welcome.
Preston and Dustin. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciated this conversation. It was definitely a meaningful dialogue.
Thank you.
We need to
Thank
talk
you.
more about jazz, and you guys are definitely doing the work that needs to be done. I really appreciate this for giving me a
Thank you so much.
platform. Like that's really dope, you know.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. But yeah, we're on socials. At Thelonious Monk, you know, that's just where we are universally.
Mhm.
Um, it hasn't been easy just in terms of trying to like lock down the social media accounts because like so many people use the name, it's incredible. So, but yeah, we're just Thelonious Monk everywhere. In terms of the website we were speaking on earlier, where, you can find merchandise, but you can also, if you want to educate yourself, you can read some of my writing and some of the writing of some of the jazz journalists that we have. You can tap in with us on theloniousmonk.store. And absolutely, you could find some cool Palo stuff. And we got like family photos and just, some ephemera if you're interested.
Awesome.
Also some great pins and bracelets. Are you
repping? Are you repping us?
You've got, with incredible statements on there, as per always know, and right is wrong, so
wrong is right, absolutely.
Wrong is right, yes. So, and the shirts are incredible too, but we only have 30 seconds left.
Okay.
I want the Apollo curtain to be pulled on us, but thanks, Sierra. Thank you for being a part of the show for Beyond the Brand, myself, Prestige, and to my right on the computer screen, Mr. E.Z. Bluez, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, New Haven.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, meanwhile focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Brujas let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted blue.